Well, folks, welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity, and it's Political Sundays. It's actually evening time. Haven't been getting on as much lately because I am getting slam dunk with clients, and I think about 25 hours a week, which makes it out to about 32 hours, not counting prepping for students. So it's been a little busy, so I'm sorry I haven't been online. I had in the middle of downloading one right now to YouTube, so you should be able to get a couple tonight. But tonight's Political Sundays, and what's happening right now that has to do with politics in Canada is a couple of things. And I'm going to start with one, and it's the separatist movement out west. Jason Kennedy used to be the Premier of Alberta, and he's come out bluntly and said, this separatist movement is absolutely ridiculously stupid. He said, there is no way Alberta could ever be a country on its own at all. He says, standing up for what Alberta needs, 100%. He said, I back that. He said, but this is a landlocked area, so good luck getting your stuff out to export it. You'd lose the armed forces, you'd lose the RCMP, which I already commented on. You'd lose all your tariff agreements, and you'd have to create your own tariff agreements. Your credit rating would bottom out because the credit rating is with Canada, which has a AAA credit rating right now around the world, as seen as being stable. He also rhymed off that this movement of separatism has been going on for years and years and years, and he said the last time it started was in the 1980s. He said they've managed to elect one person in a by-election, and it lasted for 1 year. And after that 1 year, he lost a seat. He said, unlike Quebec, where they have been able to elect a provincial government consistently on and off that is pro-separatist, he said, Alberta's never done it. He said, this is all yells and screams. He said, anybody who thinks this is a smart move really needs to really sit down and think it. And it was really nice. Jason Kennedy's always been one that, he's always been a calm, cool politician whenever I heard him. And he was like, I remember he natter and yell and stand up for the rights or what Alberta needed. But he didn't do the angry, mad, I hate to say Trumpish kind of manners, but that kind of manners. He didn't do it because it didn't accomplish anything. It wasn't going anything. I thought, oh, you're a conservative that just went up in my books, because that's how we get things done. It's not by yelling and screaming and throwing a tantrum, or that's not how you do it, Mrs. A, because I've had that from VPs, vice principals. It's sitting down, working with the provinces and the premiers to see what can actually come up and work. So, yes, I really like that coming out of him. And then still keeping our mind on out west, I didn't get to listen to it all. It was a short. It was about 2 minutes long, and it didn't go into a whole lot of details. But there has been agreement between, because it said 6, so I'm assuming, and from the flags it was British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then the 3 territories, that they had come together with a trade agreement between the 6 of them. And I thought, okay, but that's a start. So we've got those 6 going, and that's an expansion from that mini one I talked about before to now include the territories, which I thought was great. And Danielle Smith, she does a lot of politicking, and she's building on Carney's comment about making super energy center for Alberta. And she said, and we could pull up the hydro in from Manitoba. So you can see that she's trying to push for Manitoba. So we've got that group, and then we've got Manitoba and Ontario, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. So slowly, all those interprovincial tariffs and barriers are slowly coming down. Now, one I would love to see is if the professional tariff barriers came down. So i.e. holding it, and I'm using me as an example, holding an Ontario teaching certificate with multiple additional qualifications can just take it and go, here you go, right? And there's my number, there's my proofs, and I don't have to get it reevaluated, like I've said before, and pay hundreds of dollars to get it to reassessed. They could just say, yeah, this is fine. You got an Ontario teaching certificate. You got those qualifications. Yes, we need you in New Brunswick, and they do. They're really short in teachers. So that was a really upbeat kind of thing that I saw, and really liked. I thought, okay, we're going in the right direction. Turn down the volume. Calm down, guys. Take a chill. The world's upside down and backwards right now, so we need to be working. It is nice to see that a lot of countries are turning their backs on the U.S. And I think once Trump's gone and this mentality that's pulling in through the Republican Party goes away, and it's going to take a while. It's one of my YouTubers, so she's out of the States, and sometimes she gets a little pessimistic, like doomsday kind of mentality that bothers me. But she's living it. I'm not. But she said it took us a while to get here. It's going to take us a while to get out of it. And countries are turning their backs on it. But when that mentality starts to leave, people will turn back to the States. They're not going to let them completely drown. But the Netherlands has made deals. Germany has refusing to have American freighters with American equipped stuff come to their docks. Denmark or Holland, one of the two, they're in the same boat. There's 5 that has said, nope, turn around, we don't want to see you, and they won't let them dock. We'll get our stuff someplace else. So anyway, I know my analogies always have to do with the school ground, because I'm sorry, but that's what I've done for a living for my whole adult life. Even before I had a classroom, I was working at the Y, and I was working with the guides, and it's like, you can't let the bully play you run the playground, and if they're not playing nice, you take your ball, you go find somebody else to play with. And we make the bully stand against the wall. But tomorrow is the opening of House of Commons. And it was very interesting to listen to a video today about all of the symbolism that goes on in the House of Commons before the actual reading of the letter from the monarch. And it's literally just the same as the House of Commons in England, where the beginning of a new session starts, somebody comes up with, it's a big long stick. It's called the Black Rod, I believe, and they hit it 3 times. And they are representing the monarch, but they have been closed out of, in our case, the Canadian House of Commons. And they rap 3 times, and then they ask permission to come into the House of Commons. And it dates back to the UK, back with King Charles I, where he tried to say that the House of Commons, the Parliament, were traitorous and they were going against him, and the Parliament was going, no, we're just doing the duties of. And there was a big hullabaloo, and King Charles I actually was executed over it. So it was very interesting, but that habit, those symbolisms, have brought their way over to Canada. So the idea is His Majesty is asking permission to come into the House of Commons, recognizing that our House of Commons is ours. It's not his, it is ours. And so he's asking permission to come in. And yes, guys, it's all symbolism, but sometimes we need that symbolism just to keep that connection and to remember. It's like going through the motions of a wedding. Do you really need the wedding? No, not really. Just move in and live happily ever after. But there's something about having a physical wedding and going up the aisle and the mom and dad giving away the bride. And I've read of other couples where the mom gives away the groom. So that dad gives away the daughter, and the mom gives away the groom. And it's not that they're physically, literally giving them away. It's the symbolism of that person is no longer a child of that person. And it's the symbolism. And that's all the Black Rod is a symbolism to help us remember. So normally it's the Governor General that gets in there and she reads the document. representing the monarch of the time. However, this time, smart move, Mark County, he's got King Charles coming over. King Charles is probably in town now, and he will be reading the letter from the Crown. And people go, oh, that's so nice, that's so cute, that's so quaint. This is a really good political move, because this is sending a very subtle, which is a very Canadian and very British thing to do, is passive-aggressive. We're sending the message loud and clear, Mr. Donald Trump, that Canada's not for sale. At all. And by having King Charles come up and read the speech himself, and meet the MPs himself, and not just the Governor General, she'll be sitting back there, but sends the message loud and clear. And Donald Trump's not going to like it. Donald Trump does not know how to take the world now. But the message is going to go across loud and clear. And King Charles has already done it a couple of times. One was in Italy, where he made a comment of saying how he enjoys being the king and representing the UK and the Commonwealth. And then in a very straight, very much like his mother, straight black line, and I am the king of Canada. And it was like, oh, that was a low blow. It was a very subtle, very passive-aggressive, but the message was sent out. And it wasn't, when I heard him say it, it wasn't a jokey kind of thing, which I've heard he's got a sense of humor, not as obvious as his mom's, but he's got a sense of humor. So it wasn't a joke. He was very blunt and sending out a very strong message. Is he the king like we remember with King Henry VIII? No, he's not. That role has changed. But he's still the head. And he will do what he has to do to protect Canada. Now, we've already known that Denmark has come out, Holland has come out, Germany has come out, Sweden's come out, South Korea has come out that said, no, we're standing on Canada's side. Like, the number of obviously international, other nations have come up and said, no, we will come to Canada's defense, enter discussion, and nobody's having hesitation, so it's really nice. Anyways, but having King Charles is that one more little, and people will go, well, it's just the king. But you know, having that continuity, that consistency, and I can, historically reading, really only remember of what I've read is the abdication of King Edward VIII and then King George VI. So that's 1936, and that's really where my interests historically have come from. But obviously, I've remembered Her Majesty. She's been over to Canada several times. I've actually have a cup and saucer from when she was over that my mom had gotten in remembrance of. And now I'm going to be watching it. Probably not live because I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 hours tomorrow with students. So I unfortunately will not be able to watch it. But it will be fun to watch the clips. Anyways, folks, take care. Have a really good time. And hopefully I will get back on at least one more time this week. But it's that time of year and students are between the garden and calling me. I have my potatoes planted. My raspberries are in. The grass is getting mowed. So between all of that and my students, I'm a little on the busy side. I have not forgotten you, but things get in the way. Take care, guys.